My voice seems to travel for better or worse. If I need to put it on, I can, but I'll start without it. Just be easier to talk through the session. So obviously you know what I'm going to talk about, and I appreciate everyone coming. I appreciate the Lincoln Land Trust having me. Not to be rude, but I do have that note at the top. Please do not ask questions or answer them until the end. Mainly because I usually cover a lot of the questions that are asked. It can really break up the talk more so for the viewer, you folks, than it does for me, and it takes a lot longer. So in the interest of maybe the late games of football or whatever you might watch after this, or whatever you might do after this, it will be more of a smoother talk to just kind of get through it, and then I'll be glad at the end of the talk to answer any of the questions that are remaining. With that said, and of course at that point of the talk towards the end with the questions, I'll move over there, and if you're interested in the book or cards or something, I'll be available after the talk for that as well. That's enough of the advertisements. Here's the animals. Most people call them coyotes in the Northeast, but of course if you've lived in other parts of the country, these animals are clearly different. Eastern coyote, northeastern coyote are other terms because of where we live geographically. And I think that the most accurate term is coy wolf. I have peer-reviewed publications on the website that I advertised at the beginning there, easterncoyoteresearch.com. They're all freely available to look at. And I have a paper coming out soon that I'm going to get to further that coy wolf term. I just think it's the most accurate term. But we'll get all into that stuff in a moment. So when we talk about the Northeast, we're really talking from southern Canada, southern Ontario area, into the southern Atlantic state area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, of course, with all of New England and New York covered within that area. They're the biggest type of coyote we have, probably not surprising when you get the term coy wolf. But they are a little bigger than they actually look. So if you see a 45-pound eastern coyote in your backyard or in a conservation area, a lot of people try to convince me that that 45-pound animal was 60, 70, 75 pounds. And I swear it was as big as my lab, it was taller than my lab. And I can almost put my life on that is not accurate, at least the weight part. It could be as tall as your lab, it could look as big as your lab, but they're a lot bigger looking than they actually are. If you have a 100-pound wolf, you would not believe how tall and big a 100-pound wolf in a different part of the country is. So these animals are very similar, and I've gotten arguments with people of animals that I've radio collared over the years, and they've been smaller animals, 30-pounders, that people convinced me they were 65-pounders, and I don't think they understood the process of me collaring the animal, weighing it, and letting it go. And it was one of the smaller ones. So they're bigger. They're a lot bigger than any other population of coyote, but they're not quite as big as people think. A 45-pound animal is pretty big for a wild dog.